Have you ever looked around your living space, sat down quietly, and asked yourself, is this really where I want to grow old? I did. And let me tell you, at the time, moving into a nursing home seemed like the responsible, even smart choice. I told myself it would give me peace of mind, safety, and the chance to be around people my age. No more worrying about stairs, cooking, or feeling isolated. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I started to feel something I didn't expect: regret. Not because the staff weren't kind or the place wasn't clean. It wasn't that. It was something deeper, something I only began to understand after living there for a while. So today, I want to share with you the 6 hard truths I've learned about nursing home life. Not to scare you, not to make you feel guilty if you or someone you love is in one, but because no one told me these things when I was making my decision, and I wish they had. Let me tell you exactly why this matters. As we get older, every choice we make about how we live directly affects how we feel. Mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Our environment shapes our days, and our days shape our lives. That's why this conversation is important. Because if you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, you deserve to know the truth before you make a decision that could change everything. So let's begin with the first truth. And it's a big one. The loss of independence hits harder than you think. You might not even realize how much freedom you have until it's gone. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I'd feel relieved. Finally, no more worrying about taking out the trash or climbing those stairs. But what I didn't expect was how small my world would suddenly become. I had to ask permission for almost everything: what time I ate, when I could go out, even when I wanted to have visitors. At first, it felt manageable, but then came the slow, creeping frustration. I wasn't calling the shots in my own life anymore. That sense of control I had over my day, gone. And with that, a little piece of me disappeared too. I started to notice that I stopped making plans, stopped dreaming, stopped doing the little spontaneous things that made me feel like me, like making a late-night cup of tea, or deciding to take a walk just because the moon looked pretty. You give up more than your to-do list in a place like that. You give up the rhythm of your own life. And that's not something anyone really tells you. Now, let's talk about the second truth, and this one caught me completely off guard. Being surrounded by people doesn't mean you won't feel lonely. I thought, surely I'd feel less isolated in a place where everyone is in the same stage of life. But the truth is, nursing homes can be some of the loneliest places in the world. Sure, there are activities on the calendar, communal meals, and smiling faces. But those things can't replace the deep connections we crave, the ones built over time with people who really know us. Conversations in the hallway are often surface level. Staff are busy, always moving from one task to the next. And fellow residents? Well, they're often dealing with their own struggles, their own losses, their own health issues. It's not always easy to form real friendships in that kind of environment. And even when you do, there's a shadow that hangs over it. A quiet awareness that time is short, and goodbyes come sooner than we'd like. I remember one woman, Eleanor. She had the brightest blue eyes and a memory sharp as a tack. We used to sit on the bench outside in the early evenings and talk about everything from gardening to our favorite books. She reminded me of my sister. Then, one morning, her room was empty. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. That kind of loss happens more often than people realize in these places, and every time, it chips away at your spirit. The hardest part was that I didn't feel comfortable grieving out loud. Everyone around me was used to it. It was just part of the routine. But for me, it felt anything but routine. Felt raw. And I didn't know how to process that kind of loneliness while being surrounded by so many people. And this brings me to the third truth. Something I didn't even recognize was happening at first. You start to feel invisible. Not right away, but gradually. It's like you slowly fade into the background. People talk around you, not to you. Decisions are made for you, not with you. You get called dear or sweetie instead of your name. And the routines become so repetitive that some days, you question if you even did anything at all. I remember one afternoon, I was sitting in the lounge, and a volunteer walked in to hand out crossword puzzles. She looked right past me. Not out of rudeness, I don't think she even noticed me there. I felt like a ghost. And that feeling, it sits heavy on your heart. Because when you start to feel invisible, you also start to believe your life doesn't matter as much anymore. But it does matter. Your stories, your experiences, your opinions, they matter. And if you're not in a place that reminds you of that every day, it becomes easy to forget it yourself. Now, I know what some people might say, well, that's just part of getting older. But I don't believe that for a second. Getting older doesn't mean you should feel like your voice no longer matters. If anything, your voice should grow stronger with time. You've lived. You've seen the world change. You've raised families, built careers, overcome loss, and adapted to every twist and turn life has thrown at you. That wisdom deserves respect, not invisibility. Let's move on, because this next truth really surprised me. It's something I didn't even think to ask about before moving in, and yet, it ended up affecting my mental health more than I expected. In a nursing home, your days are often designed for you, not by you. There's a rigid structure to everything. Breakfast is at 7:30, activities at 10, lunch at noon, lights out at 8. At first glance, that might seem helpful, predictable, even comforting. But over time, that structure can start to feel like a cage. I found myself waking up some mornings not because I was rested or ready for the day, but because the staff had to keep to their schedule. I had to eat when I was told, not when I was hungry. And if I wanted to do something outside of the norm, like skip bingo and take a walk alone, it wasn't always easy. It felt like I was just one piece in a large machine, expected to move with the gears, whether I wanted to or not. This kind of routine might sound harmless, but it slowly drains your sense of autonomy. When you can't choose how you spend your time, when you're no longer steering the ship of your own day, it begins to chip away at your sense of self. And that's dangerous, not just for your emotional well-being, but for your physical health too. You see, when you stop making choices for yourself, you can lose motivation. And when motivation goes, movement often follows. I found myself sitting more, napping more, doing less, not because I couldn't, but because I didn't feel like me anymore. I didn't feel inspired. I didn't feel alive. And I want to pause here and say, if you've been feeling like that, even outside a nursing home, it's not too late to take back control. You don't need permission to start living again. You just need to give yourself the space to make choices, small ones every day that remind you who you are. Now, I want to talk about something a little tougher, and honestly, this was the hardest one for me to accept. I didn't realize how much of my identity was wrapped up in being useful until I moved into a place where everything was done for me. I didn't cook. I didn't clean. I didn't take care of a garden or run errands or help anyone with anything. And while that might sound like a relief to some, for me it felt like a loss. I missed being needed. I missed waking up and knowing that someone was counting on me for something, even something small. That loss of purpose can sneak up on you. One day you're enjoying the break, and the next you're wondering, what am I even doing here? I used to feel so proud when I helped my neighbor fix her porch railing, or when I baked cookies for the grandkids. Those little acts made me feel connected, alive, relevant. But in the nursing home, I started to feel like a guest in my own life, watching things happen around me, but not in them. I know a lot of us grew up with the idea that our worth comes from doing, from providing, from giving. And while it's true that we still matter just by being, the truth is that most of us feel better when we're contributing in some way. We need to feel like our presence still makes a difference, that someone notices when we're not around. And you know what? That feeling didn't come back for me until I left the nursing home and started volunteering at a local food bank a few days a week. Suddenly, people were greeting me by name again, asking for my opinion, thanking me. I felt part of something. I felt real again. So if you're considering a nursing home, or if you're already in one, ask yourself, where can you still feel useful? Who still needs your wisdom, your humor, your hands, your heart? Don't let a facility, no matter how nice it looks on the outside, convince you that your best days of contribution are behind you. They're not. And finally, let's talk about health, because isn't that why most people move into a nursing home in the first place? For health, for safety, for support. But here's another hard truth I've learned. Being in a place that takes care of your health doesn't always mean you stay healthy. I noticed something strange during my time there. People were eating balanced meals, taking their medication on time, and getting regular checkups, but many of them were still declining quickly. Why? Because true health isn't just about managing symptoms. It's about joy. It's about movement, laughter, connection, purpose. It's about living, not just existing. And when those things are missing, when you're not excited to wake up, when you're not engaging your body or your brain, it shows. The body follows the spirit. And in many cases, even the best medical care can't replace what the heart needs to stay strong. And the more I watched, the clearer it became. We can't separate health from happiness. You could have the best doctors in the world watching over you, but if you feel lonely, forgotten, or like life has stopped having meaning, your body starts to believe it too. I saw neighbors who once smiled every morning begin to fade. Not because their medications weren't working, but because their spark, their reason to get up each day, was slowly being dimmed. This realization hit me hard. It made me think about what truly keeps us alive and well as we age. It's not just blood pressure readings or pill organizers. It's laughter. It's hearing someone call your name with joy. It's having a project, a friend, a challenge, a reason. And sadly, too often in nursing homes, that vital piece goes missing. I'm not saying everyone will have the same experience I did. There are some homes out there filled with warmth and vibrant community. But you have to look beyond the brochures. You have to talk to real residents. Ask them, do you feel alive here? Do you feel free? Do you feel seen? Because that brings me to the last truth, and it's the one that finally pushed me to leave. I forgot who I was. Somewhere between the routines, the polite conversations, the planned activities, and the sterile hallways, I lost touch with the version of myself I'd spent my whole life becoming. I used to be curious. I used to be adventurous, even stubborn sometimes. I loved to take the back roads instead of the highways. I loved reading until midnight, gardening until dusk, sneaking cookies to my grandkids even after their parents said no. I was me, not just a senior, or a resident, or a number on a schedule. But in the nursing home, it felt like all the interesting edges of my personality got smoothed out to fit into a system. I didn't realize it at first. It was subtle, like a slow fog rolling in. But one day, I looked in the mirror and felt like I was seeing a faded photograph of myself. Still familiar, but lacking color, lacking life. And that's when I knew I needed to leave. Not because the people were unkind, not because the building wasn't clean, but because I wasn't in there anymore. Not really. I needed to go back to a place where I could reconnect with who I am. A place where I could feel spontaneous again. Independent. A little messy. A little loud. Alive. So I moved back in with my daughter. Not everyone has that option, I know, and I don't take it for granted. But whether it's moving in with family, finding a smaller independent apartment, or joining a co-living community with other active seniors, there are options beyond traditional nursing homes. There are places where you can age without losing yourself. And here's the thing, aging isn't the enemy. We don't need to fear getting older. What we need to watch out for is getting older in an environment that doesn't support our spirit. That's the real danger. You deserve more than just safety and clean linens. You deserve joy. You deserve to keep growing, laughing, creating, discovering. Aging should be a continuation of life, not a pause button. And if you're watching this right now, nodding along, maybe even feeling a lump in your throat because something about this hit home, please know you are not alone. So many of us have been made to feel like our choices don't matter anymore. But they do. Your story isn't over. You still have chapters to write. So take stock. Ask yourself honestly, am I living where I feel most alive? Do I feel valued? Free? Engaged? If the answer is no, start exploring your options. Talk to your family. Look into alternative housing. Consider part-time care in your own home instead of full-time care in someone else's building. Start small if you have to, but start. And if you're someone who's already chosen to stay in a nursing home, that's okay too. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness. It's about asking the hard questions so you can make changes that bring more light into your days. Whether that's joining a new group, starting a hobby, reconnecting with family, or simply speaking up more about your needs. What matters is that you don't settle for just existing. You were meant for more than that. We all were. I'll wrap this up with a little reminder that's helped me through the tough days. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. The world still needs your laughter, your wisdom, your voice. Don't let anyone or any institution make you believe otherwise. And hey, if anything I've shared today struck a chord with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has your experience been like? Have you lived in a nursing home? Are you considering it? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Let's talk about it honestly and openly. And if this video helped you, or if you think someone you love might need to hear this message, give it a like and share it. And don't forget to subscribe. We talk about real stuff here. The kind of stuff that actually matters as we grow older. Here's to living with purpose, with dignity, and with joy at every age.